Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. Stephen Stokes, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite plants, right? Echinacea. Love Echinacea. It's also known as elk root because the myth is that Native Americans would notice that when the elk were sick, they would munch on these plants. So they called it elk root. But we're talking about Echinacea. There's a lot of different strains of Echinacea. And the two that I favor for medicinal properties is the angustifolia and the purpurea. Those are the two that I find to be most effective for helping people. And I've said this before, if and I've said this to young doctors as well that get confused about plant medicine. If you just had a good quality extract of Echinacea, it's really all you need to run a successful practice. You can help so many people with just Echinacea that you could, like I said, you could develop your entire practice just using that plant. That's how great it is. And I use Echinacea like 4 times a year. So regardless of how I'm feeling, when the seasons change, I'll do a 10-day cycle, fairly high dose cycle of Echinacea. Of course, I'm talking about Echinacea Premium. We're going to get into that in just a minute. That is the Mediherb extracts. That's going to give me the highest quality extracts available with all those phytochemicals, right, in them, the things that actually make the difference, the alchemides. And you can tell because if you take one of these pills from Mediherb of the Echinacea Premium, you put it on your tongue will start to tingle, which is a great indication that this is an active form active extract of Echinacea. And it's not easy to get Echinacea in its active form, right? Because the different strains, different parts of the plant are valuable depending on the strain. So like in the angustifolia, you really want to focus on the roots and the stems. But in the purpurea, right, the purple cornflower, it's really the flower that has those high quality extracts that we're looking for. And so Mediherb knows this, and they have perfected the process. And so it really is the most effective Echinacea blend that you can find anywhere, really, and much easier than making your own blends. That's just too tricky for me, anyways. And so what does Echinacea do? It does so many things, but primarily it is a immune system modulator, and this is very important. That word is the key, right? It's a modulator. So it's not an immune system booster. It's a immune system modulator. And what that means is that the plant gets into your system, it analyzes your immune system, and if it's overactive, it's going to quiet it down. And if it's underactive, which is the case in a lot of conditions, right? We want to boost immunity, it brings it up. Now, why would you want to bring your immune system down? That sounds counterproductive, right? Well, autoimmune diseases, right? There's so many of them now. They're becoming a real thing. And if you take an immune booster and you have an autoimmune disease, maybe you have a problem with your thyroid, maybe you have MS or something like that, you're not going to do well with those plants, right? You're not going to do well with those supplements. They are going to increase the autoimmunity, increase symptomatology. Not going to feel good. But with Echinacea, it's a safe plant to take if you have autoimmune disease because it modulates the immune system. So it's going to balance the system so the immune system can work as good as it can. And that's the key. That's why I like it so much. And that's why I take it 4 times a year, right? I take it every time there's a change in the seasons. I'll take Echinacea for about 10 days. I'll do about a 10-day cycle. And I'm not sick when I do this. I do it because I want to just give the programming to my immune system that the plant provides. I just want to give my immune system help, right? I want to balance it out. Maybe it's on the verge of something, and doing the 10-day cycle of Echinacea just really helps keep it healthy, right? And your immune system is arguably the second most important system in the body. I mean, I was going to say it's the most important, but the nervous system is obviously the most important. The nervous system tells the immune system what to do, but I mean, without the immune system being able to do the work, it's not going to really make any difference. So you can take that for what it's worth. I call it the second most important system. The immune system regulates inflammation. It regulates regeneration in your body, right? It's found throughout the body. We know now that a big part of the immune system is found in the gut and in the microbiome, which is very exciting, of course. But regardless of where we want to balance the immune system, Echinacea is going to find it, and Echinacea is going to do that, right? And so it's a wonderful herb. If you are a young doctor trying to get into nutritional medicine, hey, get Echinacea. Load your clinic with Echinacea Premium from Standard Process. That's going to do the job, right? Because when you balance the immune system, a lot of other things take care of themselves, right? And inflammation is such a primary problem with a lot of diseases, and you can alleviate that inflammatory response by modulating it with Echinacea. So it's really wonderful. I would also say that if you're somebody who has been suffering with a condition for a long period of time, you've done a lot of things, right? You've gone to the functional medicine guy and spent a couple of $1,000s. You've gone to the medical doctor and you've been given antibiotics or whatever. If you've done all these things, you haven't had much luck, or you've reached a sticking point, I'd strongly suggest get the small bottle of Echinacea Premium. I think it's 40 pills. And just take, 3 or 4 of those a day for 10 days. Just take the bottle in 2 weeks. See what happens. And that usually is enough at that dose to just kick in and modulate the immune system. And that's when the miracles can happen. I hope this video was good. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, love Echinacea. If you're interested in purchasing Echinacea Premium, there's a link in the video description. And of course, as always, you can reach out to me personally, 239-645-2405. Give me a text message first to make sure that I'm available. We can talk on the phone, or we can text, or we can email. I do these consultations at no charge. It is just in service that I provide this. And, as I make these videos, sometimes I get somebody make comments that I pronounce certain words wrong. They don't like my Newfoundland accent. They sometimes criticize the science. And I just want to reinstate that, that's all valid. I agree with you, right? I have trouble with these fancy Latin names, like when I say angustifolia. Not easy for me to say that, right? Or purpurea. And don't think that before I make these videos, I don't test those out to make sure I'm saying the right word. It's hard, but that's not my thing, right? My thing is I'm not a scientist. I don't make believe that I can say all these fancy words. What do I have to add? And by the way, I'm like you, right? I go on ChatGPT, I Google stuff. I think that's interesting. Same as you. So what's my value to your health and longevity regimen? Where do I fit into the gestalt, right? It's certainly not information, because you can get tons of information on the internet. That's not really it. It's experience. That's the only thing keeping me going, right? In this crazy internet world of ChatGPT and internet doctors is experience. I can tell you what I've seen work in literally over 100,000 patient visits over the 22 years that I've been in practice. That's pretty impressive, right? So when I talk about Echinacea, man, I've used it so much. I've used it myself. I've given it to my children. I've given it to my patients. I've seen what it does, what it doesn't do. I have the experience. Experience is what I bring to the table. And sometimes when I explain the science of things, like the other day I made a short video about magnets, and I was explaining how I can charge water with the magnet, and some magnet scientist from Russia somewhere commented and said, you cannot do that, right? That is impossible. You can change the molecular structure of the water while it's in the field, but as soon as you take it out of the field, it doesn't hold. And my response was like, okay, great. That's great. I'm glad I know that. But I'm telling you that when I take water and put it on top of a magnet, I'm able to change something in that water that's beneficial. And that's what I know because I have the experience. I also know that if I take coffee that's too acidic, it changes the taste of the coffee. It changes the taste of cheap wine to a more favorable taste. I also know that if I take water and put it on a magnet, or I take basically any object and put it on a magnet, a North Pole magnet, and I focus on an intention, for example, like an emotion, I know that I can imprint that into the structure of that object. And of course, the magnet scientist that just drives him crazy, right? He doesn't understand that. And that's because his science is behind my experience. And I'm okay with that. And I'm here to share my experiences. And I hope that makes sense. So good luck, Echinacea, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.